Hey, well, hello, YouTube. Um, Today I'm starting something pretty new. YouTube exclusive content I should be posting somewhat regularly. I decided that my game analyses were definitely fun to watch for some, but I think they're better suited for YouTube as they are kind of long-winded, and the people that would want to watch them, it's a better idea to have them all in one place, so people can watch them at their own pace. So, anyways, I played two mini tournaments over the past weekend in Kingston, Ontario. They were both early bird tournaments. The main event I commentated and hosted, so I wasn't playing. But yeah, I played 12 games and I'll be showing basically all of them, I think, to you guys. So yeah, I'm gonna show the specific score sheet first, and then we're gonna get started. So this was the second of the two early bird tournaments, and I was playing Max Panitch. So for those of you that want spoilers, I guess I should have said this beforehand. You can sort of take a look on the score sheet or on crosstables.com, which I'll be linking in the description, where the game result is already entered. But here's the game. Max is a very strong player from the Toronto area. He's rated around 1900. Myself, I'm rated at around 2000. But lately, I've had a lot of difficulty beating him. He's a very, very strong opponent, like I said. And yeah, this was my last attempt at taking him down. So he opens with Vodun. My rack is this, and I played Venom. This is a really weird rack because the QU combination is okay. It's not something I really want to keep, but there was like no way to play the QU off without like giving a lot back. Like the play of Q, which I don't actually remember seeing, gives back a D hook, an R hook, and an S hook. While keeping very poor letters M and V. You see here the valuation of that specific tile leave is less than -10. So that's basically the only Q play, as well as Queen, which is similar, which I did see. Doesn't give back the same hooks, but I just hated the leave there of MNV. So to me, it came down to just finding a play like Venom, which keeps the QU, keeps also an E, and gives me a decent chance of scoring with the Q next turn. So as you can see, this E here, I might be able to draw an N or an R for queen or queer. And there are a variety of other Q plays I can also draw in this position. Vum is not something I considered at all, but that is the top choice on equity, so points and rack leave combined. And I'm curious to see how that performs in a sim. So I'm going to run a little simulation. See everything. We'll see everything going here. But I think, yeah, I think it's between Venom and Queen, and I think Venom gave me a really good shot at being able to score with the Q. And I also have an E, so I could draw a D or an R for Venomed and Venomer. That's not very important, but it's another way to potentially reopen a spot for the Q next turn. Okay, so yeah, Venom looks to be doing pretty well. Vum just doesn't really accomplish anything. You basically have to hope Max is going to open something for my Q next turn. So this is a more proactive choice and scores a bit better. Okay. Um, Max then played Hoper, destroying my hopes of playing through that E. And I drew the J. So this was also a very weird rack. I saw that I was 2 letters off of Jaquirity, which is one of the only JQ words in the dictionary. Let me know in the comments below if you know any other JQ words, because there aren't that many. All right, so I played Jut here. It looked really weird. I think I'm in a worse position than I was in last turn. I'm only scoring 19 points. I'm keeping the QU again and just really hoping that I can draw a play with it, because at this point, once again, there's just no real way to play the Q. I can play quit, set up a huge E hook, and keep the J with the U, which is really not that good. You see the valuation of that leave is around -1, so that's not that great. but you can still play quit. So I'm going to leave it in just to see what the simulation thinks very briefly. And Took, also really, really ugly. The IJR leaves even worse. There's no E, there's no balance. You're just giving Max just first dibs at all these spots on the board. And Quern was the other thing I considered, which I think Quern is probably the second best play. I can also play Quite, or no, probably not Quiet. I'm probably not Choir. So I'm going to leave Quiet in there, but I think Quern is the only play with the Q worth considering. I played Jut just to keep things a bit weird. Because at this point, Max is probably going to have to do something to open the board. But I already wasn't happy here with my position. Yeah, so far the simulation just doing well, but we have to get to like around 1,000 iterations before things start shaping up in the way that I should trust the results. But I'm going to start eliminating options from this just to speed up the process. So Exchange J, it looked interesting, but it's really hard to draw into stuff. The Quieter leave is actually pretty strong, but without a spot to play the Q, I'm basically counting on drawing into a bingo, which there's Requinto, which is possible if I draw an O. There might be a couple like Antique or Quainter with the A. So I am drawing a few things through the end, but it's not nearly enough, and it's so likely to be blocked. Venomer looks pretty ugly. It was an option that I saw the turn before, but now keeping the J and the Q, I'm just in huge trouble. It does set up Quiet, but once again, the spot I'm opening is really likely to go away. And setting up Quiet for 36 and keeping a J on the next turn is really not that great. And yeah, Quiet as I expected isn't so good, neither is Took. And yeah, Quit is there, and Quern is there, and Joe, which is obviously better than Exchange J. I don't know why I even put Exchange J on there. Joe at least scores 9 points. But it looks like Jut's doing decently well, so I already wouldn't qualify this as a mistake. But yeah, definitely another few plays to consider. But upon review, it looks pretty fine to me. Okay, so Jut comes down and Beg from Max, which is the sort of play I was expecting to see after Jut, because yes, the E hook is right there, and it's a lot of racks. It's going to allow you to balance your rack and score a few points. And now I finally am able to get rid of my Q. Yeah, after expecting a play here, I was likely to be able to redraw something underneath or over here. So the two plays I can make that get rid of the U are Peak and Choir. Choir is really a lot worse, not only because of the leave value of IP versus IR, but also because it takes that S hook that I do not have, and I have no reason to believe Max doesn't have an S either. And then yeah, then there's just QI, and that's about it. So I'm going to put QI and PI in there just in case there's some hidden value to this 12-point play that I'm missing. And I'll be looking at the details box for PI, and it says, okay, our average score is significantly higher, but not enough to make up the difference between the immediate score that we're getting with the other plays. And QI is a little bit more defensive, I guess. It's after Peak you could foresee some easy big plays, whereas after QI, those plays have to underlap. They might open new spots as well. It's just a little bit less dangerous. You're not putting that Q right above that double word score. So yeah, Peak looks like by far the best play. And then I get hit here with Decayer, a play which I hold because I have to be sure this is a word for me to accept it, because this is a big swing if this isn't indeed a word. But I thought a long time. I know that Max's word knowledge is very good. He very rarely phonies. And the word did look good to me immediately. And your first instinct is often pretty good when it comes to words being played. And I've studied all the 7-letter words finally at this point in my Scrabble career. And so I was confident that my first instinct of Decayer being valid was correct. It does look very weird if it's not like, if you're using logic with Decayer, it's like decayer. Like decaying is like a natural process. You can't have something initiate, like some actor initiating the process of decaying or decayment. But in Scrabble, logic is often a flawed way of trying to figure out if something is a word. And I remembered that relayer wasn't a word and layerer wasn't a word, but delayer I thought was also a word. So yeah, nothing in there that made me think that this was invalid. So I let the play go eventually. But the problem was I had drawn very poorly. I drew two extra R's and one extra I to go with my IR combination that I left with peak. And here I can play underneath the Q with TI for 28. That's by far my best score, but where is that getting me? ILRRR. I'm down now a full bingo score, and I kind of need to be proactive and try to keep a better leave. Ur is not a play that I saw. That does actually clean up the rack as best as I can, giving me an okay chance at potentially hitting a double-double next turn on column K here. But obviously the issue is that the score is only 9 and opens a huge scoring spot. So even if I do attain that double-double, I'll still probably be behind. I saw Trier, which was the only play I saw that really cleaned up my rack. But once again, I'm now blocking the E, which is my best shot back into the game, which of course will be blocked unless I open something else. So that something else was crit, trying to just keep things a bit more open and hope to hit the E next turn or the turn after. But yeah, things were not looking well at all. You can see this win percentage number is very low at this point in the game. Yeah, so I think it's between Trier and crit, which so far the engine agrees with. When you're in this sort of position, like you kind of want to be proactive. You don't want to lose all hope, and you don't want to go full desperate because only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plays have hit the board. There are at least 10 more plays to come. So you're gonna have at least five or 6 turns, at least 6, I would say, to come back. And yeah, so it's important not to lose hope and try to make the best play and not go crazy. And I think Ur is the play sort of that goes a bit crazy. It does have a decent amount of value. It's very aggressive, and if Max is struggling with a really bad rack, maybe full of consonants or 1-point letters, I'm not going to be hit very hard. But any other rack, and he's going to be able to hit the triple for potentially 20, 30, 40, 50 points. And yeah, I don't think it's merited, but it is being preferred right now over crit and Trier as well. The interesting thing about Trier that I noticed was that it takes the E hook for étrier, a French word, but that's also a loan word in the English dictionary, which is cool because I can then foresee a play reopening or opening more floaters, more letters to play through at the end of the day. But I decided that I already have like this E as a floater. It's pretty good, and if Max spots étrier, he might have a very high scoring play. And even if not, even if I get there, I like the fact that this Vodun's hook is kind of here and kind of protected for the rest of the game, and possibly that will go away. But that might be quite minor in the face of other variables, and I'm willing to concede that crit, given that it leaves me with ILRR, might be a small mistake here. So I'm going to say questionable. All right, crit comes down. Next, next Max plays. Takes a long time here, actually, and he plays Kex for 44. And if your opponent takes a long time and then makes a 44-point play that seems relatively obvious with a lot of racks, you kind of have to worry that there's something else going on. And the first thing you think about is maybe he has a blank or other really good letters, so he has a lot of plays to consider. So I was very unhappy here, for sure. But again, I couldn't give up hope. I drew UIN, and at this point, I have to basically play Quinn, I think. I could play in, I guess. And Quinn does actually interfere with the lines I set up here. So it's kind of counterproductive, but I felt like this was my best ticket back into the game. I mean, the problem with Quinn is it sets up a huge S hook and a huge T hook. So it's possible this is also a mistake. Maybe I should play something like Kern as well. I'm able to score 24 there. I think I might have autopiloted a little bit here. But yeah, the other thing I considered was Puri. Which, I mean, it sets up an end that I have, but that's not the main reason to play it. Puri, it's mainly to keep as well as possible to bingo next turn. Wow, I'm already at 15 minutes. Yeah, these videos do take a while. Feel free to, I know I talk a little bit slow potentially, but you can always increase the speed on YouTube videos because I know, like a half an hour video is pretty long. But also, this is a good way to like pause and go get some tea or something if you have other stuff to do. So yeah, I really do think that this whole YouTube idea is a bit better. But yeah, Kern seems pretty logical. I'm keeping the U, but it's still like a balance. Two vowels, two consonants. That's not too bad. And I'm leaving everything else alone. This area of the board is just dead. It's just real estate. It's free real estate for anybody to use at any point, but it doesn't change anything to the shape of the board. So why not just not allow Max to just easily score? I think it's the main reason to play in this spot. So yeah, I'll put this as a questionable as well. Looking back, I probably should have played something else. But there's still a lot of value in my original choice, I think. And then, yeah, the dagger comes with Facetly, which, again, I hold his play. I'm just like, okay, this one I'm even more sure of than Decayer, but, I mean, if this is valid, I'm just dead. And, yeah, indeed it was. I did let it go. I didn't challenge. And, yeah, I'm really boned here. Really nothing left to do. I played AR. Score as much as possible, take away a scoring spot, try to draw an immediate bingo. Maybe I can bingo a couple times in a row. And after a while, Max just hits me with another second finishing blow of Azine. So at this point, the game is lost. I would resign if we were playing in a format where that was permitted. I know you Resign Gang people love to hear that. It was kind of a joke. I don't like resigning games. I like finishing Scrabble games because there's always a lot of fun to be had. Fun words potentially that'll come up, positions you've never seen before. You know, the regular arguments. He plays Hob, which was really sad because I drew into a bingo, two bingos to that E. The bigger one being Dolerite, but a very logical play for Max. He knows he's probably winning, but why not be even sure by blocking the biggest threat on the board, which is this E as well as the I and the N at the same time. And here I have a variety of options making Quint. I decided that I would play Rioted. I don't think there's a huge difference. I would like to see the difference in valuation just very briefly with all these plays. I guess it's probably going to take too long, so whatever. But yeah, there's some value in keeping a few more tiles because they're all bingo tiles. All the letters on my rack are bingo tiles, so if I keep bingo tiles, I'm likelier to bingo. But at this point, I just wanted to score as much as possible, potentially like luck into some crazy stuff. Max plays Jig, which blocks Vodens, which is really good. This is really good board control by Mac. It blocks Max. Not only does it block Vodens, which is an easy lane, especially, I don't know if he had an S, but there are 4 S's to come. But yeah, not only does he block that, it also blocks the Che column, so any word ending in E or I or O would be playable, and he's blocking that. Yeah, it's really smart because not only are those plays sort of likely in terms of bad scenarios for Max, but they also reopen a part of the board that's totally unoccupied at the moment. So now if I'm playing a bingo, which where do you play a bingo here? Through the V, maybe a 9-letter word, it's really hard. But if I am playing a bingo, it's unlikely to accomplish the same goals that a bingo on I or J columns would do. And so this is again just a very safe play by Max and a very good one. However, I drew very well here, and I was able to make a very high scoring play of beat whalers. That's my only bingo 9-letter word. It's an 8-letter word really, but I was happy to see this and give myself a glimmer of hope, because look at the score now. I'm only down 85. If I get an incredibly lucky bingo again somewhere, I might have a chance. So that's the double-edgedness of potentially playing for a few points with Jig, but I think it was still probably his best option, and he has a lot of options still to maintain his lead. So yeah, Can was his next play for 24 points. I don't have his rack, so I'm just gonna put AN in there. Scores 24. It cuts off any weird 9-letter words. Now that you've seen I've played a 9-letter word. There's still a blank out from his perspective, and I could have some crazy word like multi-tone or something through the HI, and Can gets rid of those things, and maybe I'll draw into a 10. Who knows? But yeah, all of his plays have been very logical this game, and I draw the other blank, which was like, okay, I have a chance maybe, but also like I'm probably still losing this game, and it feels really bad to lose this game, because like I've drawn both blanks, and it appears I've drawn 2 S's. It appears that like I outdrew Max, and I always have these weird demons in my head about that, even though I know Scrabble isn't just about the letters you draw. So Utz was my play, but before I made this play, Max overdrew. And what that means is he drew too many tiles. He played off 2 tiles, drew 3 tiles. And what you do in that situation is you turn over the 3 tiles and you give him 2 back, and you put the one you don't want him to have back into the bag. Had he taken 3 tiles and mixed them with the 5 other tiles on his rack, I would then be able to choose from the 8 tiles after he's mixed the tiles up, to then do the same exact process. But since he noticed before he mixed his tiles with his other tiles on the rack, he was able to catch himself. And especially if he had good tiles like an S or a blank on his rack, that means I don't get to choose from those tiles, just from the ones he drew. And I turned over F, O, and E. And there's actually an option for this that you won't be seeing, but it's a different window. It's called Handle Opponent Overdraw. It's not a very, very useful thing in Quackle, but it will tell you what the best thing to do in a vacuum would be. Like if you had those 3 tiles to choose from just with nothing else, it would tell you which one you should put back. So I put FEO, and it says put F back in the bag. So it wants me to leave Max with 2 vowels, which indeed I did, because I wasn't so worried about anything other than him just continuing to score. And with an F, he's able to score over here. He might be able to score elsewhere as well. And knowing OE means maybe he doesn't have any way to score next turn. Maybe he has a few more O's. Maybe he has a lot of vowels. And so yeah, I left him with the O and the E. And I play Utz here. I'm not really sure what to do. I think Utz is fine. It's my highest score. It plays only 3 tiles, and I need to keep scoring. I'm down over 100. But I guess I'll put a couple of things as well into the simulation, just to see if there's some weird thing I'm missing. But I think, okay, there's also West. I don't know. I kind of liked the weird threat of maybe playing a 10-letter word. That's definitely not a reason to not play West. Like there are almost no 10-letter words that fit here, I'm sure. Yeah, I think Utz was the call. Yeah, and unfortunately, what then occurred was Max, after a while, laid down Veronals, and yeah, three times in a row where Max takes a decent amount of time to make a very high scoring play, and all 3 times I was equally devastated. And yeah, Veronals, that's it. Game's over now, and I regretted giving him that F back, obviously, but I still think it was the right decision. And yeah, I mean, the game's over now, but I decided that I would try to make the best play still. And I saw with the unseen letters, he could only, I think, have gooeyest as a 7-letter word, from what I noticed. I might be wrong about that, but I was considering making a play on the fourth row, just to try and threaten to bingo next turn. There are only 2 tiles left, but oh, I should try to finish these videos within 25 minutes. That would be funny because that's how long you have in tournament play to think about your moves. But yeah, I decided that I wanted to open something up here. I saw that I was close to flame. That scores really nicely over here. So I wanted to keep F, L, and M. So I then just separated the I, the D, and the O, and I was like, okay, what do I do with I, D, O here? And I decided to play D-O, to hopefully draw into a 7-letter word, which I didn't expect I would be able to play, but it was still something I wanted to do. I wanted to draw an A, and I wanted to draw a 7-letter word that I could threaten and make Max's life a bit difficult, and then have flame as backup. So that was my thinking. So I ended up playing D-O, not O-D. O-D, gooeyest would play, and it's also probably harder to play a bingo, a 7-letter word, with OD. Instead, I played DO. It sets up my F immediately, and gooeyest does not fit because gone is not a word, and un is not a word in North American play. And he has no real way of dealing with this threat by scoring a ton of points. So that's what I like to do. I think championship player is taking way too long, so I'm just going to finish it now. And hopefully it'll give me the results in due time. But yeah, I played Do. It's probably going to screw up a little bit here. Yeah, let's go back here. I liked my play. all that being said, if you saw something else, you can let me know in the YouTube comments. But he has this rack, and I saw for him that he could play Stoai. Stoai to block Stoai or Stoae. I didn't think they made a big difference. So yeah, as he was thinking, I was trying to solve his part of the end game because my plan was clear. If he leaves me a spot for my bingo, I get to play it, and if not, I play flame. So in this position, he played iotas in the same spot as Stoai for 1 fewer point. So I wonder if that's... Oh, okay, so Toya's, Stoai, and Stoae are all the same. Yeah, of course Toya's is the same and uses the same letters. But iota, like this, is actually the best play. Okay, cool. Because it leaves high scoring spots for the S. So he made a 2-point endgame mistake, which is basically nothing. And I played flame, played OE, and that was it. I lost the game 407 to 527. So that was the first YouTube based content for analysis that I've made in a long time. But more are coming your way. I might be posting these daily because I can do them relatively quickly. I guess half an hour is relatively quickly in the grand scheme of things. So I hope you enjoyed. More games are to come. Important links are going to be in the description, and always welcome to feedback and further analysis in the comments section. I will read every comment. All right. So have a good day, night, or whatever. I usually say that on stream because people live in different time zones, but you can now watch this at any point, not live. So hi YouTube, and I'll see you soon.